Ambassador Azhar was the former Deputy National Security Advisor to the Foreign Ministry in Israel. He's been the Deputy Ambassador to the United States of America. He's worked as a Special Advisor to Israel's Prime Minister. He's worked on that special team on the Abraham Accord. He's been a part of the Sanctions Committee on Iran. He's a paratrooper. Have I missed out on anything? I'm sure I've missed out a lot, but welcome on this podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl.
So, was Israel able to achieve its aim when Israel bombed Iran? And why did the United States have to come in?
We are certainly nearing the end of our mission when it comes to the military targets that we had. We removed two main threats on our existence. The first is the nuclear military threat. We identified in the last few months that there was a clandestine criminal group of scientists that were actually assembling a nuclear weapon, but actually taking fissile material and trying to put it on a ballistic missile, okay? And the second thing is we neutralized is the ballistic missile program of Iran that we degraded, but the job is not yet done. There are still many launchers around there. We've been able to take out more than half of them. But still we're seeing barrages of missiles being fired at Israel that are causing huge devastation. So these two aims are the military aims, and we hope that after those are achieved, we'll be able to renew diplomatic efforts to create, to renew stability in our region.
So when we look at the situation right now, the Trinity that was targeted by the United States of America as part of Operation Midnight Hammer, along with your Rising Lion, why was Fordo the most difficult in your appreciation? Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordo. For the benefit of our viewers, explain why they had to be targeted and targeted together.
Natanz was the main facility in which Iran was enriching uranium. It had a surface facility and an underground facility that we targeted. Isfahan was the main conversion site in which you convert the fissile material into a metal that is being used on a nuclear device. And Fordo was less significant in terms of uranium enrichment capacity, but what it had is the immunity, so-called immunity of the presence in the underground. So for us, it would have been more difficult to tackle that because the ammunition we have is limited in power. And the fact that the United States decided to complement our effort with their own effort is very important because they had the right weapons needed in order to penetrate more than 60 meters with their Moab load, that facility, and to completely, if not destroy it, at least to take it into an unfunctional situation. So these are three of the main elements of the nuclear military program, but not the only ones. Mm-hmm. Israel has been targeting actually dozens of sites in which Iran has been conducting this illicit activity.
Is this operation, which is apart from destroying their nuclear capabilities and their missile force and their launchers, also to enforce a regime change? Because not only is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu indicating that, your Defense Minister Israel Katz has indicated that, and American President Donald Trump seems to have indicated that a regime change operation
I want to make it very
Iran.
clear because there is confusion regarding that. As much as we would like to see a regime change in Iran, we don't have an operational plan to change the regime in Iran. We don't see this as our role. We see it as a role of the Iranian people.
And that's why the bombing of the gates of the prison where you have political prisoners in Iran.
Yes, because we identify with the Iranian people. This is a symbolic action. We are not flying to Iran to liberate it with our ground forces, but we are signaling to the Iranian people that we are with them. This is a symbolism, a symbolic gesture that we've done.
But this is there an apprehension, is there fear this could be a forever war? The war that started with that October 7 attack is still on
this
and could expand.
Been a forever war, a forever attack of Iran coming from Iran. This started in the 90s when we were trying to promote peace and make peace with the Palestinians. And the Iranians started to support Hamas and the suicide bombings, and they derailed the peace process time and again. The Iranians have been doing damage to our region and to us for many, many years. We want to end this war. And we hope that finally, when the Iranians see that they are not immune anymore, that they will suffer the consequences to the extent that their regime will be put in danger, then maybe there is a chance that things will change. And we hope things will change.
How do you see Pakistan in all of this? You know, Pakistan in a different context wants to recommend Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize and then goes and stands with Iran that's sworn to Israel's destruction.
Well, we are not part of the Pakistani-Indian conflict. We are, of course, following with concern the fact that Pakistan is harboring terrorist organizations. Something that I think the entire world should cooperate in order to deal with. But we haven't seen the Pakistanis doing what the Iranians have been doing. Sending assistance to terrorist organizations in our region, trying to build a ring of fire around us. We haven't seen that. So, as I said, we're not looking for enemies.
Okay. But, since you talk about what's happening in your region, is Israel still standing by the two-nation theory, concept or a solution, an independent Palestine living in harmony next to Israel and not targeting your people like the way Hamas did?
We don't have an interest to control the daily lives of Palestinians outside Israel. What we like to do is to promote a self-Palestinian rule that will not threaten Israel. So we are ready to give the Palestinians the maximum authority to control themselves without threatening us.
But no Hamas in the Gaza Strip, for example.
Because Hamas is completely committed to destroy the state of Israel. So of course that we wouldn't agree. Look, we have been in a situation in which after we withdrew completely from the Gaza Strip with the hope that something positive will emerge there, okay? We've taken out all the settlements from there, even the graveyards we took out. Yeah. We left there nurseries, means to make a living. What Hamas did, a few months after we left, they completely destroyed the nurseries. They engaged in creating a war machine against us. And for years, we tried to avoid from going back to the Gaza Strip. We had zero interest of controlling the Gaza Strip. But we were left with no choice when they committed these terrible atrocities against us. And
what happens now? Because
now
President Donald Trump says he wants to build a Riviera there. And
so now Israel will have to stay there until Hamas is removed. We will have to contemplate new forces coming up, more moderate forces that will engage in de-radicalization of the population in Gaza, that will engage in construction, that will distance itself from terrorism, will distance itself from attacking the state of Israel. In that context, we can create a much better future for us and for our Palestinian neighbors.
You don't think Iran is going to get more aggressive in the times to come when it says suspend their parliament? The Majlis has talked about suspending the IAEA. They're very unhappy with the United Nations, though they're seeking some kind of intervention.
I'm sure, Gaurav, that they're very unhappy because they didn't expect what we did to them. The question is, what is the capability to go through with your intentions? So I think at the end of the day, people have to match their actions and their intentions with the capabilities they have. And therefore, I'm optimistic that we can de-escalate the situation and we can get a diplomatic solution.
Where do you see India and Israel's friendship with India in all of this?
Well, India is a great partner of Israel. We have a lot of trust between us. We have built this trust in decades of defense cooperation. We've built this trust in decades of agricultural cooperation. Yes. We have a lot in common. I think both nations are very old peoples that have very young countries with a lot of challenges of development that we can actually engage in sorting out together. And we also have a history of oppression and devastation that came from foreign forces that came and actually took our freedom from us. And the fact that now we are assuming our role, we are taking back our freedom, we are building our country, This is a very important ethos that we have in common, Gaurav. So I see, despite the differences in size, naturally, we are only a nation of 10 million people. And we are 150 times smaller than India. But when it comes to the ethos of building our nation, when it comes to the challenges of fighting radicalism, we stand together. And I know that India will have a huge role in promoting stability in our region, because as much as you grow, and your economy is growing very fast, and as much as you sign trade deals with other major countries, major economies in the world, you will need more this connectivity, the countries in our region can provide, that connect India with Europe, with the West. We can engage in projects of energy, of communications, of technology, of transportation, and this is just the beginning. I'm really not only hopeful, but optimistic, because we know what we can do, because our countries are countries that are convinced now in the capability that we have in order to improve our lives. We have proved it, you have proved it, we have proved it, and we can do it together in a much better way.
And your reading of India's actions during Operation Sindoor, because that's also debated very extensively, but as somebody who's observed it and as a soldier, as a diplomat, how do you view that?
I saw a nation rising up to try to change the equation. We don't surrender to terrorism, and you don't surrender to terrorism.
And the policy of mowing the lawn, that I heard of in Israel, is that's constantly required. You need to constantly fight terror. We need to constantly fight terror. Is that the only way to move forward?
Look, there are many ways, and the situations are not necessarily similar. I don't want to get into the details because I'm not an expert when it comes to your security situation, your set of considerations. I trust the government of India to make the right moves for the interests of the Indian people.